The wind whipped across the open plains as the sun dipped behind the hills, casting a golden glow over the dirt road that led to nowhere. On that lonely stretch, a woman appeared, limping, with a battered suitcase in one hand and a bundled baby clutched to her chest. Her shoes were worn thin, her coat barely thick enough for the chilly evening air, and her eyes carried the weight of someone who had run out of places to go. Her name was Anna. 26, once a nurse, now just a mother fleeing a life that had grown too dark to endure. She had escaped the bruises, the shouting, the empty promises. After months of saving, she'd finally found the courage to leave last night, sneaking out while her husband was passed out drunk. She didn't know exactly where she was going, only that she had to go somewhere. The Greyhound bus had broken down in the middle of nowhere, and no one knew when help would arrive. While the others complained, Anna saw it as a sign. She'd spotted a signpost a mile back that read, "Whispering Pines Ranch, 2 miles." With a limp from an old injury, and her baby, Sadie, beginning to cry from hunger, she didn't hesitate. She started walking. By the time she reached the ranch, night had begun to fall. The white farmhouse stood tall against the backdrop of red barns and fenced fields. The place was quiet, save for the distant whinny of a horse. Anna hesitated at the gate. Her strength was all but gone, and Sadie had grown fussy, her tiny fists clenched in protest. Just then, the front door creaked open, and a tall, broad-shouldered man stepped onto the porch, wiping his hands on a faded cloth. He wore a dusty cowboy hat, boots caked in mud, and had a beard that framed a face equal parts rugged and kind. He looked at Anna like he was seeing a ghost. "Ma'am," he said slowly, "you look like you've been through a storm and then some." I don't want any trouble," Anna said hoarsely, tears welling up in her eyes. "I just need somewhere to rest. For the baby. Just for tonight." The cowboy studied her, then looked at the tiny girl nestled in her arms. Sadie cooed weakly, and the cowboy's features softened into a slow smile. "Well," he said, his voice gentle and deep, "you can rest here, if the baby likes horses." Anna blinked, unsure if he was joking. He stepped off the porch and opened the gate for her. "Come on in. Let's get you both fed and warm." His name was Luke. He lived on the ranch alone, save for a couple ranch hands and 23 horses. Once a champion rodeo rider, he'd settled into quiet life after an accident left him with a steel rod in his leg and a few regrets in his heart. Inside the farmhouse, the warmth from the fireplace thawed Anna's frozen limbs. Luke made soup, the kind that smelled like home and healing, and fetched a bottle of milk he'd bought for a friend's baby who never came to visit. He didn't ask questions at first, only watched as Anna fed Sadie, rocking her gently by the fire. It was only after Sadie drifted off to sleep that he quietly asked, "You running from someone?" Anna's lip quivered. She nodded. Luke didn't press. "You're safe here." She believed him. Over the next few days, Anna helped around the ranch, feeding chickens, folding laundry, sweeping floors. Her limp slowed her, but her determination was tireless. Sadie thrived in the open air, giggling every time the horses trotted by. Luke would hold her sometimes, bouncing her in his arms, her laughter ringing like music across the fields. One morning, Luke took Anna and Sadie to the stables. "Ever been close to a horse?" he asked. Anna shook her head. "Well, today's the day." He gently lifted Sadie and placed her near the gentle old mare, Ruby. Instead of crying, Sadie reached out, grasping Ruby's mane with tiny fingers. Anna gasped, ready to intervene, but Ruby nuzzled the baby with the softest snort, making Sadie squeal with delight. "She likes horses," Anna whispered, her heart full. Luke grinned. "Told you." Days turned into weeks. Luke never asked Anna to stay, but he never asked her to leave, either. He offered her the small guest room in the barn's loft. She fixed it up, made it cozy. She cooked meals, helped care for the horses, and even learned to ride, with Luke's steady guidance and Sadie cheering from the fence post. In time, Anna told Luke everything. About the abuse. The fear. The way she'd almost lost herself trying to hold a family together that had already fallen apart. Luke listened without judgment, his eyes darkening only when she showed him the fading bruises still painted on her skin. One evening, as the sun dipped low and Sadie slept peacefully in the loft, Anna and Luke sat by the fence watching the horses graze. The air was quiet, save for the rustle of wind and the occasional snort from the herd. "I never thought I'd find peace again," Anna said softly. "I thought I'd be running forever." Luke tipped his hat back. "Sometimes, the best places find you when you stop looking." Anna turned to him. "Why did you take us in? You didn't even know us." Luke looked at her, his voice almost a whisper. "Because someone once did the same for me. When I broke my leg, lost my career, and had nowhere to go, an old rancher let me stay in his barn. Said, 'You can rest here, if you like horses.' He gave me a second chance. Figured it was time I passed it on." Anna felt her eyes sting. She reached out, placing her hand on his. "Thank you." Luke squeezed her fingers gently. "You're not just resting anymore, Anna. You're living again." Months passed. The ranch began to flourish with Anna's help. She started an online business selling homemade baby products and organic soaps from the lavender that grew wild near the stables. Orders poured in. Luke built her a small shop near the house, painted white with a wooden sign that read Sadie's Sunflower Goods. Locals came to buy, stayed to chat, and often returned to hear how a quiet cowboy and a brave young woman had built something beautiful from broken beginnings. One spring morning, as Anna watched Sadie toddle through the wildflowers near the fence, her heart ached with gratitude. She remembered that night, the fear, the exhaustion, the uncertainty. And then she remembered Luke's words. "Rest here, if the baby likes horses." It was a sentence that changed everything. As Luke walked over, carrying 2 mugs of coffee, Anna smiled at him. Not just with her lips, but with her whole being. She had found peace, not because she was rescued, but because someone believed she was worth saving, and gave her the space to heal and rise. Now she stood tall, not because the pain had vanished, but because love, gentle, patient, and steadfast, had taken root where despair once lived. They watched as Sadie squealed in delight, running toward Ruby, who bowed her head as if to greet her favorite human. The morning sun bathed them all in gold. And for the first time in a long time, Anna whispered to herself, "We're home."